The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to my review show here of NXT Spring Breakin 2023 from April 25th, 2023, from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, as per usual, Karlifornia. It's great to be with you all once again. So another NXT special is upon us after we just had, that big time stand and deliver PLE last time. So a lot's happened since then. Obviously, once again, I don't watch the weekly show. I don't have enough time. So as per usual, a lot of things change. A lot of things happen between these specials that NXT put on. The opening promo with all of the people who weren't working the show was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I guess this is a new staple of NXT now, where they have, all the workers talking about what's happening on the show. But at least it brought me up to speed on the angles taking place on the show. And speaking of angles, here comes a big one. Tony D, hey T, how you fucking doing, Tom? How you doing, Tom? Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo taking on Pretty Deadly in a trunk match. You know what? It seems like Tony D is always doing something, always with an angle, always with the stipulation matches. I remember back in the day, I always used to bring this up. Remember when the Dudley Boys came back after all those years and they had like a couple of little angles here with New Day and Enzo and Big Cass, but then nothing else really happened. Because I used to say back in the day, the Dudleys would go from angle to angle to angle to angle to angle. And I think that's what a lot of important people on any roster should be doing. They should go from angle to angle to angle to angle. There shouldn't be any breathing space between if you're doing your job correctly, creatively. That's what's happening here with Tony D'Angelo. He's always got a feud going. He's always doing something. And it feels like now Stacks has been promoted and has gone from lackey to tag partner, which I think is good. So there was a great shine to start this matchup for these Guidos in this trunk match where you got to put the other tag team in the trunk of the car. So again, these stipulation matches fitting Tony D'Angelo's character, this should serve him well on the main roster one day once that actually happens. Pretty Deadly were getting whooped. They were getting whooped for quite some time, a substantial amount of time to begin this, because that's what would happen in real life. Stacks and Tony D are street fighters. Pretty Deadly are who they are. Pretty Deadly, at one stage, got a little bit of offense in and grabbed a table that was set up from the Italians, and they hit it backstage, which I found funny. It's really good that they started this off with Pretty Deadly just being unable to handle the street fighting Italians in Tony D and Stacks. I did find the commercial break and the commercial breaks that went on through this show very annoying, because it always happens during a match, and I always fast forward it because I feel like if there's a commercial break on, whatever's happening is not going to be important enough to me for me to be paying attention whilst, I'm finding out about the next, Pizza Hut deal on the other side. After a harrowing time, Pretty Deadly finally got control of this. And, here you go. See how you can have a good tornado tag street fight and not have to rely on dives to get over? This is the thing that gets me annoyed with some of the other companies. It's like, there's more than one, more than two people in the match. That means they're going to have to do all these dives to get their match over. No, you don't need to. This match didn't need stuff like that. Stacks got thrown in the trunk first, and when they reopened it, Stacks had a fire extinguisher. I don't know what a fire extinguisher is doing in the back of the trunk of a car, but maybe because it was their car, they put it there earlier, just in case one of them got thrown into the trunk first. Kit from Pretty Deadly is nailed with a crowbar, and then Prince gets hit with a move called the Big Bada Bing, which I popped for. Fantastic. And the family, they get the win, bro. They get the win. Tony D is on a roll right now, winning the feud with Dijak, winning this feud here. Tag team titles could be in sights for the family very soon. Tiffany Stratton showed up, and you know what? When she opened the door and I saw her, I actually gasped when I saw her. I also laughed at her calling the year 2020 Tiff. I thought that was kind of silly. You know what? Tiffany Stratton she works for me because not only is she absolutely incredible looking, but she's got this bitchy voice, and it's just a perfect quality for a heel to have. We go backstage. Andre Chase has a problem. Duke Hudson tries to pump him up and get him excited for his matchup coming up against Bron Breakker. And I think Duke is good quality in this role right now. I like when they came from that. Booker T was clearly trying to pop Vic Joseph on commentary. And again, Booker was on fire on this show. So I didn't know what the card was going into this for the most part. So I had no idea Andre was taking on the new heel Bron Breakker. Oh man, I've been looking forward to this heel turn for quite some time now because I know being a Steiner, this man's going to be able to pull it off. So here we go. Bron Breakker, Andre Chase. We know where this is going. Chase just goes after the big bastard real early on. I did laugh at Bron hitting a T-bone suplex without going down with it just to show off his brute strength. This was clearly going to be a one-sided affair. Andre Chase tried to weather the storm, but Bron hit that gorilla press power slam, then locked in a Steiner recliner. I like it. No, we don't need this spear tackle all the time. Let's broaden Bron's repertoire. So yeah, I didn't write many notes because it didn't last long. He tapped out to the recliner, and poor Andre copped it sweet again. Sorry, I just had to pause then because I had a little bit of a frog in my throat. So we go backstage. Mackenzie Mitchell is trying to interview somebody, or is going to try and interview somebody. And yeah, here's what happens. Ilya Dragunov tries to enter the building, and immediately Dijak just jumps him. And I found it really funny because he had just no chance to even enter the building. He walked in with his gear, even though he's not on the card. Walks in with his gear, no chance to even enter. They've been talking some smack on social media. And dude, Ilya Dragunov got the absolute shit beaten out of him. And this is what I found funny. He was getting yocked so hard that it's just funny that the cameraman is just standing there filming it and no one's coming to help. He's just standing there filming this. Finally, 100 referees, it seems, show up, all yelling at the same time. It's such a ridiculous scenario. Like, what is wrestling? Ilya gets a garage door slammed on his stomach or chest or whatever. So I'm expecting a garage door match soon, I suppose. But, that was a really good segment and, good for Dijak to get over as a dastardly heel. Moving forward again, Lyra Valkyria takes on Cora Jade. Thank the Lord. Cora is back, baby. First time I'm properly seeing Valkyria. I'm going to keep trying to say Valkyrie. Valkyria. Fuck, whatever. I saw her in the multi-women's match at Stand and Deliver, but this is the first time seeing her do her stuff solo. We get another commercial break, of course. Great. Cora's injury, I feel, really halted the momentum I felt she was, she had last year. And you know what, Lyra, she has a good grasp on the suplex game, but she did a handspring into the ropes that was a little bit awkward. Cora, good chicken shit heel work in this. There was a situation where I did think to myself, what the hell is going on? Because Cora grabbed a kendo stick from outside the ring, and then Lyra completely missed a big time spin kick and just ate it. Then Cora hit this kind of awkward chop block, then hit a double arm DDT and got the win. So good to get Cora back over. Tony D and Stax are driving the car now after this match, and you can hear Pretty Deadly screaming in the trunk of the car. And then Stax goes, they park the car, Stax gets out the car, slams the trunk lid several times, and then Pretty Deadly go quiet because they've just been murdered. Coming up next, sore back. NXT Championship. Here we go. On the line, Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams at ringside, taking on Grayson Waller with the model that comes out with his golden shoey. Shit. I don't know who she is, but she's probably a performance center chick, and man, she looks good. And perfect to pair with Grayson Waller. I find it hard to believe that Carmelo will lose this going in because, you know, he just won the belt. But, you know, having Grayson in this position could put him in a position of being another one that can't pull off winning the big one, can never win the North American title. Now he's had 2 opportunities at the main belt. It's kind of like Omos, couldn't beat Lesnar, couldn't beat Lashley, couldn't beat Strowman. You know, some of these people on your roster at some stage, they've got to win the big one. Trick got wrecked by a chair early on, and then Melo gets his head taken off by Grayson Waller with a clothesline. Trick gets taken backstage. Go to a commercial break. You know, is there no way we can at least get through the title match without a commercial break? Waller works the knee, easy psychology here. He's us. There was this great spot in the match where they kind of had a double collision in the ring, and like Waller kind of like sneakily put his hand on Carmelo's chest, just the slightest hand. Referee started counting, and obviously Carmelo figured out very quickly what was going on. But I thought that was interesting, and I don't think I'd ever seen like a sneaky kind of pin like that before, where you just kind of put your hand on the guy. Really cool. A fadeaway DDT from Hayes was impressive, even though it was, you know, it's a little, you know, why do you need a bounce off the rock, you know? But it looked fantastic, okay, but still. The agents and wrestlers, you know, as far as I'm concerned, sorry, they know how to give these guys some great opportunities to be super athletic, have these matches, be pure suspense and excitement. These things get put together well. Everything, you know, that happens, you know, has an effect on the match. They don't do spots for spots' sake. Waller's stunner reversal of Hayes springboarding back again, that was nuts. And then Waller put him through the announce table that really put this situation into high gear with that elbow drop off the top rope to the outside. We got a 2 count. And at this point, I'm like, this is a main event anywhere. You know, imagine they had this match on Raw. You know, imagine they had it in front of like all the casual fans. By the end of it, people would start to think, whoa, like who are these guys? But they seem like they're somebody. Twice now they thought that they had one another, but after they go for that pin, the other one just managed to roll to the outside. Waller does his stupid little roll through the ropes thing again, the roll that I hate. And he hurt his ankle on entry, it appeared. And then Melo all of a sudden won with the nothing but net. And then Grayson rolled out of the ring pretty much immediately. I forgot to check up to see if he actually got hurt or not. But Melo challenged Bron Breakker for Battleground. Breakker out of nowhere, bro, spears the living shit out of Trick Williams. And then he destroys Carmelo Hayes, spearing him through a wall. Dude. And then the recliner on Trick Williams before that as well. Like, this is Big Papa Pump in a younger person's body with dark hair. This form right here. The spear through the wall was great. And honestly, like, again, Bron is like the most explosive wrestler I've seen in years. The explosiveness that guy gets when he comes off the mark to hit a spear on someone. Jesus Christ. I mean, you'd be getting skiddies in your pants, mate. And then there's a stretcher coming out for Carmelo Hayes. Okay, we go backstage again. Roxanne Perez has a little solo interview talking to the camera about how she became a fan of wrestling, watching people like Bayley. And I'm like, wow, like, yeah, she is young. She is 21. So if you grew up watching Bayley, you'd have to be young. I mean, I was well and truly grown up by the time Bayley started training to be a pro wrestler. But again, man, this Roxanne Perez character, so boring potato soup. Just like Wesley, they should team them together. They could be called the potato soup connection. I wanted to lose because she's just too nice, you know? Tiffany Stratton is where it's at. You know, this is why I always say their heels have more layers to the character in WWE. Brooks Jensen and Briggs have split, and there's a four-way kind of love story situation, this soap opera that's been going on since day dot. And, you know, I can imagine that Bull Buchanan finds all of this very funny watching his son portray this character. You can see my exclusive interview with Bull Buchanan on this channel. Just check it out. It's really good. You have Joe Gacy and maybe Joe Coffey or the other Coffey guy. They're backstage, and the Rock's daughter is there too. I think her name's Rain or something. She was a little bit awkward in this scene. I have to be honest. I'm not sure if she's got her father's charisma, but we'll see. She's only young in her career. And one thing I have to give Joe Gacy props with, he definitely tried to not blink during that whole vignette, which is, you know, very much like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. I don't think you ever see that character blink, which, you know, really adds to the character. The next matchup, mixed tag team contest. It is Brooks Jensen and Kiana James against Briggs and Fallon Henley. You know, I've never really felt like I've had the chance to see, you know, Jensen and Briggs team up together before this split. You know, I've seen them a couple times, but it seemed like every time I tuned in, these two were just doing this whole story of trying to find girlfriends, and then they found girlfriends, and now one of them appears to be cheating on Jensen, and Briggs and Henley know. This is all the story's been this whole time. And I kind of feel like the angle is a little similar to the Indi and Persia Pirotta angle with Duke and Dexter a little while back. There's always a spot that gets placed in these matches where, you know, immediately they go on a commercial break, the heels just got powdered, you know, not to the outside, or they just powdered to the outside, and you can see it coming a mile away. It gets annoying, man. I really think that Vic Joseph and Booker were just killing it with the banter during this match. One move, you know, I haven't been talking about the moves a lot, but Fallon Henley did a really dope spinning hair throw. And Booker T, again, like this whole time he was on fire. You know, when Briggs fired up, it was like, I'm finally seeing something interesting here from him. Not to say that I hadn't seen anything interesting from him before per se, but I kind of feel like I'm a little disconnected from the characters, despite how entertaining this angle has been at different points of time. Fallon Henley absolutely destroyed Kiana into the stairs at one stage. There's this stalemate brawl between Jensen and Briggs, which was great between the two. Jensen eventually grabs that bag to try and hit Briggs with it. During all this, Kiana accidentally gets knocked off the ring apron. Then Briggs hits a massive lariat, and that's just mathematical from there. He gets the pinfall. After the match, Brooks Jensen goes up to Kiana to apologize to her, and then she says to him that she never loved him and dumps him. Then Briggs came out. She was standing right behind him as Jensen was just devastated. And then Jensen just kind of like sank his head into his friend's shoulder. And I said, oh, you know what? They kind of got me in the feels, that did. Like this whole time, he's like, oh my God, I was an idiot and they were right. I'm so sorry, dude. And even no matter all the stuff that Jensen put Fallon and Briggs through, they still forgave him at the end of the day, because that's friendship. What an interesting story to tell, you know, that friendship at the end of the day can conquer all. No, it's nice. Mackenzie Mitchell backstage interviewing Dragon Lee. And I'm like, here comes an interruption. And I was like, oh, wow, there was no interruption. They actually let him get through a whole promo. And then a video took over on the screen behind her, and it was some sort of video for the character Scripps. And honestly, I am not interested in the character. I think the mask looks stupid. I'm not into them. I'm not into the Axiom. I'm not into the mask characters that speak perfect English. You know, my mask characters, I want them with broken English. I want them to barely even speak English, except for like Rey Mysterio. Dominic, my son. We got the new guy coming in here, Oba Femi. Where do they get these names from? Oba. He's debuting next week. That's what the promo said, I'm sure. After the promo video, the vignette was him destroying furniture and throwing things around and apart. But then the next thing, he's debuting here. So maybe they were just showing the promo video from the previous week, whatever. This dude is a big bastard, 6'6", 280, whatever it was that they said. And his opponent was Oro Mensah, which again, where do they get these names from? Oro. He's about to cop it. And I really think the big boy here has got some potential. He's big, he's strong, he's all that. Oro did take a nice bump off the top rope to the outside. Don't have many notes here because it's just a squash. There was a huge pop-up powerbomb from Oba Femi to get the win. Whatever, just debuting a character. Cool. Then after the match, gorgeous Gigi Dolan is on commentary, really pissed off. Cuts a promo on JC Jane. I'm sure we are going to get to a big blow-off match with them at Battleground. Although, again, as I've said, I don't think that they should have split up yet. Because, again, as I've said, the WWE Women's Tag Team Division need teams. Why do you have these women's tag teams work together for years on end to gel as a team, only to break them up before going to the main roster where they need some women's tag teams? Getting towards the tail end here now, everyone. Mackenzie Mitchell was with Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak. And this is the first time I looked at Charlie Dempsey and I was like, okay, now I can see his dad. I see his dad in his face. He looks exactly like him. And then we cut across to some North American title stuff with Wesley because he's going to be working a match with Gulak next week. Tyler Bate rocks up and wants to join forces with him. Whatever. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just Wesley's boring. Anyway, finally, here we go. We get to our main event of the evening. NXT Women's Championship on the line here. The champion, Indi Hartwell, taking on my sweetheart, Tiffany Stratton. And, of course, Roxanne Perez. Look, as long as it's not Wendy Chu, okay? You know what? Tiffany's entrance, that's what I want to see, brother. And what else I want to see is her getting a double belting to begin with. And then we go to a three-way pin spot, which was very good. And then, yay, a commercial break. Yay. Oh, I love them. That's my favorite part. Yeah, we're going to picture in picture here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yay. The good thing about NXT is that there's always a lot of angles going on, okay? Even if some of them are a little squeaky clean and contrived and, a little bit fake, the effort up and down is there. It's a nice little show. It's a nice little show, but it's still not for me. It's too nice. This is great for families and kids and all that, but I want some grit. I want some, just grit. I want some grit Baker. That's terrible. Okay, so Roxanne's spot off the ropes whilst holding onto both ladies. You know when they grab one hand and they grab someone else's hand and then they jump up and get onto the rope and then do like some sort of flip or whatever. She did a backflip or kind of like a split-legged moonsault onto her feet. And then the other ladies just didn't know where to go. They just fell over themselves, A debacle. Roxanne Perez, again, her suicide dives look like a little child jumping into a swimming pool, just that. Hopping onto them. It's not that bad, but it's just like she's so small. Again, props to Tiffany Stratton again. Her voice is so perfect for a heel, especially when someone's hitting her and you can hear her like going, ah. Like when she's screaming in pain. It's kind of like you get a bit of a kick out of it because she's got that little bitchy voice of hers. I think one of the spots of the match was Roxanne Perez was going for a pin, and Stratton just came charging through this massive stomp, which looked like she stepped on her head to break up the pin. So much desperation. I don't know what this note was about or what Tiffany did for me to say this, but she's fit as fuck, man. She is fit. She does a dive to the outside onto Roxanne and Indi, and they caught her very well this time. Unlike last time where they just let her cop the fucking brunt of it on the floor. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, something's happened to Indi Hartwell. You know, is she injured or is it a work? You know, I really thought it was weird that they had Perez like pass out and then it never really, anything really came of it. But yeah, wasn't sure if it was a work or not but then I was like, oh, the camera always ignores it when it's real. Which is why like the Roxanne thing didn't seem so real because the camera was shooting it the whole time. So yeah, excuse me, I just burped then. So I was like, okay, if it's a real injury, let's see if they can improvise. And Indi did get taken away. And they showed the replay and you could see her like ankle fold underneath her as she caught Tiffany Stratton on that bump. And I was like, what are they going to do because I doubt Indi was going to be losing the belt here. And that's when you could see something was wrong, right? Because you can see that Roxanne and Tiffany were in the ring trying to waste a bit of time. I think, you know, Tiffany had her in a headlock and in a sleeper hold or whatever. And, you know, it was clear it was becoming messy. Like they went immediately from looking like they knew exactly what they were doing to having absolutely no idea. Deer in headlights. You know, they kept whipping each other to the corner, and then Roxanne would put her foot up and she would kind of graze Tiffany a bit. There were a couple of times where Roxanne tried to like do a kick or a spin kick to Tiffany, and you know, Tiffany was a little too far away, yet, you know, she's got her leg in the air after doing the spin, and then you can see her looking to do the clap, but she can't do it because she knows that the kick's not going to go anywhere near Tiffany. This is an issue, man. If you're choreographing every second of every single match, that's a problem. That's a problem. It's a problem because when it comes to things like this, and you have your young talent here in NXT not experienced in calling it on the fly or learning how to pivot when things like this happen, when you have a triple threat, someone gets injured and they're a part of all the spots remaining in the match, and it goes to this, your main event, and you've got two people here exposed to everyone, where everyone's watching going, oh dear, these two don't know how to improvise and do things on the fly. It was just really obvious. I mean, that's one thing that I would say. I would push if I was Matt Bloom there at NXT, and well, you know, Shawn Michaels, you know, this is what I get Shawn to say. Well, you know, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get everyone at the we'll get everyone performance center up, you know, and we'll get them to, you know, have some improvised matches, you know, just in case. You know, you need practice. Practice makes perfect. If you practice improvising, if you practice when things go wrong, what would you do? Then when the situation arises, then you have things to fall back on. Okay, if this happens, then this is what we're going to do. You got to have someone out there at all times, like, you know, that's like the ring general. You could see that the referee was really communicating with both of them to try and tell them what to do. You could see that he's on the earpiece. I have to give Roxanne credit. She did hit a really sweet Hurricane Rana off the top rope before Indi finally came back. I guess they checked her shit, and they checked her shit out, and they must have seen that she was okay to finish off this match. Tiffany did hit an awesome moonsault as well. Indi Hartwell interrupted the pin, and then she retained soon after. So bit of a shame with that spot there where, you know, they just got absolutely lost. Because, like, man, I was thinking, like, if Indi's hurt, like, I really hope that on the fly they decide for Tiffany Stratton to win the title here. But this is what we got. So, you know, not a bad main event except for that part there where things went wrong. After the match is over, you know, Indi's retained. The show ends with Tony and Stax. They're right near like a body of water real late at night. And there's a cameraman filming the whole thing. And clearly they just like hid the dead bodies of Pretty Deadly. They're sleeping with the fishes now. They actually killed them. There's proof with the camera right there. I guess they're not Pretty Deadly anymore, just pretty dead. Oh, Carl, you're a real hand, you are. You know what we needed though? One little detail. If you're gonna go this far with the cheese factor on the story and the angle and the characters, I'd have had some of that stupid colored clothing of Pretty Deadlies float to the top as they're staring down. I think that would have been funny. But then again, I guess they probably would have had to grab her and hide the evidence. But for me, I just think maybe like because the ending shot was the shot of the body of water. And I think it would have been maybe cool once they had left if, you know, just a bit of their stupid like pink clothing was just floating in the distance. But I guess it was too hard to shoot. Or maybe no one had the idea. Maybe you should hire me over there at NXT. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. My review show here of NXT Spring Breakin 2023. I apologize for how clearly hyperactive I am right now. I've had a little bit of a beer, but I just, you know, did this big shift, 24-hour shift, and I'm just so excited to be back home and not have work for a whole week now. And that's why this review is a little bit late, because I had to do a 24-hour shift yesterday. And I was going to try and record this whilst I was at work, but I just couldn't. The room in the office that I was in, that I could have recorded it in, the echo was just too bad. So sad. You don't care. You've already turned off this review because you don't give a crap at this point. You've heard what I think about the show, but I've got to give it a rating out of 10. And I'm going to give this a 7, a solid 7. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. Some of the things in the show were very cool, but 7 out of 10, I think, is fair for Spring Breakin 2023. There we have it. I'm Karlifornia. This is the WZWA Network. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, Thunder Mifflin. Please join our Discord. You know, you can chat with us in there if you like. Please go to www.rizon.net. There's a chat room you can go to when you type in hashtag pro wrestling. Wicked bunch of dudes in there to talk about wrestling, especially at times where Raw is live or Dynamite is live. They're all in there talking during the show, pay-per-views, etc. They're always in there. There's always a live chat going on. There we have it. Thank you all again, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.